Welcome back, everybody. We are about to head straight back to ReZero to put in the third marker and then hopefully figure out what we're doing with the fourth one. Because this will give us the actual elevation. So Kamawati, your dragon persona is hatched. But the day will come. Oh my god! Clip! That is some news. You are actually working on a dragon persona? That's awesome. I cannot wait to see how it turns out. Oh my god. That is fantastic. I think I'm legally obligated to ask now. Not working on it yet, but starting to have a concept floating in your head? Hell yeah. I think I'm legally obligated to ask, what made you choose to have a dragon sona? I mean, obviously I know the answer, because dragons are the best, but, I mean, you might have your own reasons. Because I fucking... Exactly. Exactly. I could not say it better myself. Okay. Yeah! Third one's in. Let's check out what to do with this fourth one now. Okay. Five, 7, 3. Can I take a picture of this? No. 57325 110 79. 57325. Let's just start with that one. 57325. Come on, journal. Let me write in you. Okay. 57325. True negative. Come. We have 110 and negative 79. 110 negative 79. 110 negative 79. 110. Okay. Whoops, there we go. Wait, no, not 101, 110. There we go. Okay, and then this is the fourth goal. I don't know, I'm just gonna name it that. Okay, so 57325 110 negative 79. So this is going to be actually further from the first outcropping where we found the direction one. It's gonna be actually out a distance, and it's gonna be it's gonna be higher. No, sorry, it's gonna be lower than the direction, but higher than the distance one. So it's gonna be in between where that outcropping was, and it's gonna be in where the one was in the library. Okay. So let's start searching. Yeah, let's go there. That's fine. That's the Palace of Kings, but we can easily like just walk down towards the square, which is going to be our main point of reference. Okay, let's get up our guy. What was our... Let me just double check. It was 57325. Okay. I guess that's going to be actually... no, it's actually going to be on this side, isn't it? 57325. 110 minus... That's actually decently far out there. Further than the library. Or further than the gallery. That might be the library. Let's go to the library, actually. Hold on. Oh, I can link there, so let's go ahead and just do that. Let's take the linking book right here. Library courtyard. Okay. 5647 minus 78. Hold on. Weird. This is close. This is actually really close. It feels like it should be like right here, right? What was the... Hold on. 57325. 57325. Okay, so wait, is it down? Would it be down the stairs? It might be down the stairs, actually. Hold on. No. Of course, this is lower actually, so this wouldn't be. This is the right height. This is the right distance. We're so close to. What the actual. Not the right distance yet? The distance was 110. No, I was goofing and saying 101 again. Hold on. The distance is 110. Can I go through this? I can. And we're close. Got it. Nice. Okay. I called it from the very beginning. There was going to be one behind the library. I was right. Derg instincts are sharp. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now with that, we can head back to... Actually... GG. I like that green GG. Let's actually head back to the Palace of the Kings and do a few more books before we go submit this one. I'm not sure how much longer we have with Nunny, so I'm trying to make sure we get all the books read through kind of in progress. Wait, do I have to do this in live? Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Is looking forward to the right reaction to that. Sure, living on the end. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to grab it. I had to actually, like, jump through it. Which I know what y'all are saying is, like, for live, like, you actually have to, like, walk through them. So, need double digits of markers. Anyway, let's continue with this. So we're gonna do 4 more books, which means we're gonna go back to Lower Roof and get this one right here. So we got here King Ishik took the throne in 4083 at the age of 85. His grandmother had been Shama, and of Ishik, it was often said that he ran his throne almost exactly like his uncle Kedri had. It was another of the people's kings and He was another of the people's kings and refused to separate himself from his people or view himself at a higher level than those he served. It seems a king with such an attitude was hard not to like, and his popularity was close to that of Kedri's. Like Lemashal, he focused on the involvement of the non-Dunny and their importance to the Dunny culture and expansion. His powerful words of equality between the Dunny and non-Dunny were truly put to test in 4103. Ishik and his wife had been touring a food facility run by natives on the age of Myst. As it turns out, the party was ambushed and Ishik's wife was taken by a group of natives who managed, using Dunny linking books, to easily escape before Ishik and his guards could react. As words leaked out of the event, the words animals or uncivilized and primitive were used to describe those of the other worlds in a way that had not been used since the Pinto War. Ishik fought the people's new perception and argued that not all outside cultures should be judged on a few radicals. His words, however, were seen as empty by much of the public as he waited for word on his wife. Word finally came, and the Yemis wanted their own worlds to rule. They felt the Dunny ruled them. They had specific demands for the kind of worlds, many of which were impossible, as they had no concept of the art of writing. Unless they were given the 3 worlds, they demanded Ishik's wife was to be executed. Oh shit. Many viewed Ishik as a faithful study of history, in particular the Pinto War, because of his knowledge of history and his belief in the integrity of Yemas. He was fairly convinced that it was not the Yemas who wanted the books, but some small faction of Dunny who was directing them. Rumors say that he was even fairly convinced of the particular faction that was doing it. As was the case with the Pinto War, it had not been the Pinto who were to blame. The judges, who had wrongly sought power, given Ishik's apparent distrust of some within his own people more than those, were not Dunny. He had been a strong supporter of the Railma, as it turned out. It was their information that saved him. There was a number of groups who felt though the Dunny should be completely sealed from other cultures. One in particular had been especially vocal in their opinions. Especially while Ishik's wife had been held captive using the tragedy to further their own case, it was to this group Ishik apparently directed the Railama, ordering them to uncover any information they could. 3 days later, Ishik sent out word that he had no intention of giving the Emas the world they had asked for. Hours later, Railama informants followed 2 members of the faction Ishik had suspected to an illegal age where his wife was imprisoned. Once the public received word that it had once again been their own people directing the operation, records indicate that they were greatly dismayed. Plans were uncovered that indicated the faction was to kill his wife, no matter whether the ages were given or not, to only prove further that outsiders could not be trusted. In fact, it seems as though the public was quickly learning that it was their own blood who could not be trusted. As Rena Reef and the Great King had often said, it was a great power they had been entrusted with, and it is our own hearts that must be watched, a temptation too great to be resisted without strict rules or willing hearts. As a result, there was a great push for more strict guidelines for interaction with other ages, as well as rules for the ages themselves. They sought the rules not because the other cultures were savages, but because our own culture could not be trusted to deal with them honorably. Ishik passed away in 4291 at the age of 293, leaving the debates to his firstborn son. Depending on sources, 2 different groups are credited with the kidnapping, although Railama's records indicate that it was a group known as the Blood of Yavo. Other records indicate it was known as a group known as the Light of Dunny. Okay. And here we have... Wait. That is a very similar name to the one before. King Losamanesh. We're gonna go with my formula from earlier and just call him King L. Hopefully he's not actually an L. If only Gen would have read all this, yeah, I don't think he would have cared. I don't think it was in his character to care, honestly.
I'm pretty sure Gin would have literally just been like, oh, they were just incompetent and unable to figure out how to fully control the ages and the people, and Gin would have thought he would have been able to fully he would have been like something like that. King El took the throne in 4291 at the age of 123. Though El's reign was relatively short, it is believed he made the most of the years he was given. King El has seen firsthand the effects of too much interaction with other cultures, and because of that, held firmly to his views, disagreeing with what was becoming the majority view in Dunny. He often pointed out, as his father also had, that before the Pinto Wars, strict regulation had existed on interaction with other cultures. It did nothing to stop the judges from their writings. King El himself stated, "Those who wish to take advantage of outside ages and peoples cannot be stopped. What must first be listened to within Dunny, not forced to take such extreme measures. When extreme measures are taken, the consequences must be increased." I'm glad he's thinking logically about that. Prohibitive laws don't stop people who want to do bad actions. They only stop people who don't even have those intentions to begin with. Like, that's just the reality of it. In 4305, law was passed stating that creation or trading of illicit ages was punishable by permanent imprisonment on solitary prison ages, a fate that some said was worse than death. In 4307, King El barely passed, another law stating that any Dunny who coerced an outsider to commit a crime, no matter what crime, was also punishable by permanent imprisonment. While the laws were passed, King El encouraged further interaction with other cultures, while continuing to argue interaction itself was not the problem. However, it seems as though many failed to see his stance and still pushed for stricter measures on the Guild of Writers, a complete sealing off of any interaction with outsiders. In 4334, the age of Terrasses, a major mining age, was halfway destroyed because of a mistake of a native running Dunny machine that had been established there. Families were forced to evacuate. In one particularly odd case, supposedly a child was born while the mother had been linking from Teresa's back to being born mid-link? What the hell? That's weird. Regardless, the destruction of the age was another cause of argument for those who wished to seal themselves off, and a case that King El argued could have happened regardless of who was running the machine. Gin also would have known this from Dunny teachings. He grew up in the cavern, at least some. Yes, this is true. Sadly, in 4438, King El was assassinated by the same faction who had kidnapped his mother years earlier, making his life an example of what he had often preached. It was the Dunny who had to change, and if they did not, he had argued, problems would always exist, whether or not outsiders were involved. He left the throne to the first son of his younger brother, as he had no children of his own. King El was actually, in fact, not an El. In fact, it was the Dunny culture that was an L during his reign. King Jai, or G. King Jai, I'm gonna say Jai. King Jai took the throne in 4438 at the very young age of 36. The combination of apparently immature and weak king, along with the tension that was growing within Dunny over the outsiders and religious principles, went down in history as a bad one. Oh boy. At the start of his reign, government records say Jai was overtaken with his new palace life and the luxuries it afforded him. He seemed much more concerned with what kind of food he would be served for breakfast and whether or not Dunny should pull back all of his people who were living in outside ages, as some were suggesting, wrote an anonymous author. Because of his apparent lack of concern over the real issues, it was the Grand Masters who quickly became the most frustrated with Jai. It was said by a few Grand Masters in private journals that Jai would wholeheartedly agree with them while they presented their strategies, plans, and then agree with their challengers an hour later. The indecision by Jai made for little evidence of progress and complete frustration for most of Dunny. For the first time in many years, the signs of division began to appear as they had during the 2500s. The once unified religious beliefs showed signs of splitting, The once unified classes began to separate into rich and poor. The once confident rulers of the world began to wonder whether they could rule even themselves. Adding to the confusion were the words of the Watcher. The Watcher, as he had come to be called, was the child who had been born between ages, and now, rumors said, had the ability to see beyond time, past, present, and the future. In 4500, he wrote Words, a 625-line volume describing his visions of Dunny. Much of the book dealt with the great destruction of Dunny that would one day occur, and the signs that would come with that destruction. Many claimed that the book was seizing upon the chaos of the day and dismissed it as rubbish, while others seemed to be rather intrigued. Now, from an outside perspective, we know that Dunny did have the fall. Is he actually talking about the fall, perhaps? Or was he just someone who took advantage of a situation to try and become an influencer, more or less, and just the happenstance predicted something that would happen? That is the question now. Also in 4500, Grandmaster Knef of the Guild of Legislators brought forth a proposal that would allow the use of private education separate from the guilds, although many seemed frightened of the idea, as education and the guilds had always been thought of as inseparable. The proposal eventually passed by a slim margin. Jai seemingly had little to say on the proposal one way or the other. Jai was married in 4502 to Melaine, a woman who has been married 3 previous times. It was Jai's first, and the prophetess advising him had strongly spoken against it. The marriage lasted 25 years before ending, and marked the first time any king had divorced one of his wives. Jai remarried in 4565 to a woman 100 years younger, something culturally accepted? Accepted as in, like, it's an exception, not like accepted. For those of you who are just listening, it's EXCEPTED. It was the rumors that she was the daughter of the Watcher that created the problems, or that created problems. She denied the claim, but did show quite a bit of interest in his writings and convinced Jai to do the same. The marriage lasted until 4645, when Jai's wife vanished. Some said outsiders had taken her, since nothing had been resolved concerning them. Others said Jai had murdered her, and others said she had returned to her father, the Watcher, even though the Watcher died in 4606. Jai's final wife was one of his own prophetesses, and he had sought for advice. He had sought for advice, making another first for a king. The two were married until Jai's death in 4692. He left the throne to the third son of a close friend. He was 290 years old. To sum up Jai's reign, one author wrote, "There was a collective sigh of relief throughout the cavern the day he finally left us." Damn. Damn. Though the Watcher was believed to have died in 4606, there were numerous rumors of people claiming to have seen him and talked to him. Sounds suspicious to me. Okay, and that was the 3 here. Now we need to go back to the lore roof to read the 4th one. And thus, the Salath bloodline ends. I need to go to Ralto to go to the roof. Done. Nope. Come back. Which lasted quite a bit. Yes, it did last quite a bit. Here we go. Okay, clip. Which one next? Great. I think was Demoth. Which one is Demoth? The black book with the skull. Okay. The Stone Hammers, Tigris. The new album in stores now. Check for the date first. King Demoth took the throne in 4692. I forgot the dates. Jai died. What date did Jai die? Jai die. Heh, that rhymes. Is it? Okay, cool. He took the throne in 4692. This is the next one. Okay, cool. And at the age of 154, though the public was generally not happy with the reign of Jai, it appears as though they were pleased with his choice of Demath to succeed him. Demath had joined the Guild of Maintainers at the age of 5, as most did, and risen to the level of Guild Master by the time he was chosen as king. The selection was a surprise to much of the public, and apparently even to Demath himself. It was not a post he had especially desired to have. Almost immediately, Demath ordered a ban on all unnecessary links to be enforced by the Maintainers, while the council carried out emergency meetings trying to decide their stance on the outsiders. In these meetings, the council concluded that relations with the outsiders would continue, but with much stricter restrictions and guidelines. The list was long that Demath signed into law and included the restriction of any outsiders operating Dunny machinery or linking books. Perhaps more importantly, the council and king sent a clear message to all of the factions who were against outsider involvement with Dunny. Their ideas would not be tolerated. If they led to any infraction of the rules previously established by King El, which were to become strictly enforced, and though it was not stated publicly, the Relama, meaning the unseen, was apparently ordered to double its membership and find any and all who were carrying out illegal activities with the outsiders. As well, Demath denounced the words of the Watcher as pure rubbish and nothing more than a desperately lonely man seeking attention. Damn. And in 4721, Demath published an amendment that forced the major guilds to accept a percentage of students who passed all entrance exams but could not afford the steep prices. It was the first such action in the history of Dunny, and one that many seemed to question, especially the guilds themselves. However, Demath was able to convince them that it was a necessary for the society. It was a necessity for the society and one to which they continuously agreed. In 4724, records point to over 10 separate groups being convicted of the L laws, as they had come to have been called. Most agree that the Relama played a large role in the convictions, although there are no... Cautiously? What? Was it cautiously agreed? What did I say? Huh? Wait. Did I say like continuously agreed? Huh. That must have just been my brain being dumb, because I can read that as cautiously. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, the Relama played a large role in the convictions, although there are no official records of their involvement. Regardless, each of the convicted was sentenced to solitary confinement on prison ages. The convictions must have carried a powerful impact on society, as the public still knew very little of the Relama, if anything at all, and thus had no idea how so many convictions were occurring. As one writer said, there were stories of the dark shadows and mysterious creatures. For those carrying out such activities, it was said that the eyes of Dema saw everything, while his arms took anyone he wanted. The crime rate, especially pertaining to the L laws, steadily lowered until 4752, when there were only 3 recorded convictions. In 4784, an assassination attempt was carried out against Dema, resulting in the death of 2 members of the Relama who saved Dema's life in the process. The perpetrators were found, and 2 years later, Dema ordered their execution. It was the first execution of its kind and met with little resistance from the public or council. The 2 men were apparently linked to a death age, permanently ending their lives. Though most agreed with the execution, those who were against outsider involvement to begin with now felt even stronger in their case. Now they argue Dunny is killing itself for the sake of the outsiders. In 4826, Dema was rewarded for his efforts pertaining to the acceptance policies of the major guilds. The first of the Guild of Stonemasons, non-paying members, headed the efforts to devise early fusion compounding technology, a building block for the eventual development of Nera. We talked about Nera in Myst 4, did we not? Like Nera Rock? That was something Cirrus used to be able to break out of Spire. Demat praised the guild and the numerous opportunities that all citizens of Dunning now had to benefit their society. In 4843, at the age of 305, Demat passed away, leaving the throne to his firstborn son. Yeah, H3Q's have to build the chambers. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm loving the connections here. Some argue that Jai didn't make the choice of Dema, but that the Grand Master Emis of the Guild of Maintainers made it. The matter was never officially settled, although most contribute the choice to Jai. Jai. Fuck. Since it's known to be the most unbreakable material in the universe. Okay, cool. By the time the major guilds had become extremely expensive, and a large majority of the population, even if qualified to join the guilds, had no way to afford it. Gosen, leader of the cult group Blood of Yavo, made the comment in a public speech. Okay. Okay. Hell yeah. Let's head back to the Nexus real quick and go put in this final marker. I swear those raindrops sound like applause to you. Whenever I link to Relto, the raindrops on Relto sound like applause. Like, yeah, you're doing really good. We're proud of you, Winter. Sometimes you just need people to tell you that they're proud of you. Sometimes that's all you need. I'm proud of you, Clip. I'm proud of you, Kazuki. I'm proud of you, Sonic, if you're still here. I'm proud of you, Jonathan. Every single one of you. I'm proud of you too, Emblem. I know you're there. I can feel you. Okay, we got all four of that. What the... Oh god, we're playing Talos Principle. We got a blue laser. Where's the receiver at? Like, actually, what am I doing? Hold on. Congrats, the Great Zero is turned on. Yay. What the heck? Do these doors open now? No, these doors don't open. Oh my god, that is insanity. You did say that teleportable once. Oh, wait. It's like a scanning device? Is it like scanning something? I hope I like getting periodically scanned neutrino lines. Okay. So we got the Great Zero turned on. That is I want to know how that works. That's actually really crazy. Okay. Nope, this is the wrong way. Nope, that's the right way, actually. Sorry. This one. Okay. Let us see if his journal has indeed updated, as it probably should have by now. The fact it works across ages is mind-boggling. It works across ages? I did not realize that. Wait. Oh, yeah, here it is. There's someone else here. I'm not sure I'm alone anymore. I'm going to have to be careful. That was the last updated one. Now this is what it should have updated. It seems obvious I have to get to the Great Zero on. Rumor used to be that the DRC had multiple links inside of their private rooms in Kirill. Getting to Kirill isn't a problem. It's getting into the private rooms, that is. It's something to do with the lights. I figure, just not sure what. G green or O orange, B blue. Yeah. So that should have been the clue to help us get us actually on track to start fixing and turning on the Great Zero. But for some reason it didn't update. But thanks to Clip, we were able to continue anyway because he gave us the clues. Now we have more updates. There is someone here, I'm fairly certain of it now, but perhaps isn't such a bad thing. Over 1,000 has to be a hood. But that isn't much considering the number of hoods in this place. What? Over 1,000 has to be a hood? But that isn't much considering the number of hoods. I don't understand what that means at all. Well, there are other places I must go, other things I must do. Goodbye. What? That was a hint for the third marker you got. It was 101 in distance. Oh. Other places I must go, other things I must do. Goodbye. Thank you. I appreciate the next direction to what to do. Hint that it's one of the neighborhoods. Yeah, which we found in Bevan, right? When we had to like link to Eder Chemo to go to that linking stone to go to Bevan in that place. Okay. What's Hoods, Bevins are further from the Great Zero as they are in other islands. Okay. Guess let's head back to Dunny. Can I see the Great Zero, like, having its blue line from here? No. I will. Just stare at it for a second. I know it does turn pretty... Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. Cool. So we got the Great Zero turned on. What does that let us do now? So now thank God what to do next. I should be able to go back there. There's stuff back there, and I want to see what it is. Dang it. I have no idea. When in doubt, let's go read. Let's go read some of the King's books. Oh, there's the scanner line. Scan me, daddy.
Yeah.
There is something that I wrote in my freaking Douglas's coordinate. Wow. Okay, yes. Douglas's coordinate. That's the next thing we need to do. However, we are going to read the next 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna read the next. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're gonna read the next 5. That way, the last section will only be 4 to read. So we need to start from like right here. Dang it! I'm sad. I want to go down the tunnel. Of course, there probably is nothing down there. It probably just like drops off into an abyss, or there's no or something. Anyway, we have King Yeesha. Took the throne in 4843 at the age of 109, though most commentaries say that he held to the same beliefs as his father. It seems he was not nearly as strong as and thus did not carry the level of respect that his father had, a character trait that some of the more violent factions preyed upon. Damath had managed to refocus the Dunny to a large part. However, few factions who still desired to make their case were able to make Yeesha's reign an unpleasant one. In 4865, the Blood of Yavo kidnapped Yeesha's first son from the Guild of Chemists. In a letter, the faction stated they would kill the king's son if one of their own leaders was not released. Yeesha ordered the Raylama to find a son, but they were apparently unable to do so. Later, it was discovered that a key member of the Raylama had joined the Blood of Yavo and was aiding them. Feeling forced, Yeesha gave gave in to the demands and released the prisoner they had asked for. The body of a son appeared on the steps of the palace a few days later. The death of Yeesha's son, along with the newfound evidences of a mole within the Raylama, further separated the Dunny into two sides. Those who wished to end outside intervention were becoming stronger, publicly raising their cause almost daily. Those who followed the majority were growing angrier and less tolerable to those who did not. As a result, there is little doubt that there were very few Dunny left who fell into the middle ground. There were even less, including Yeesha, who could bridge the two sides. Yeesha, in an apparent attempt to divert his people's attention from the brewing wars, decided in 4889 to announce remodels for all of the 18 major guilds. It was the first of its kind since the Dunny had been founded and warmly embraced by the guilds. Under the announcement, Yeesha changed some of the original restrictions of Rena Reef, offering the guilds more liberty in the structures they could build. In 4901, Yeesha stated his plans for a new common library located directly within the Vayman district of Dunny, a middle-class district. In 4910, he announced plans for a new park to be built on Neref Island. In 4914, 3 new recreation ages were placed within the park as gifts from the Guild of Riders in order to celebrate the completion of their new guild. The diversions seemed to do their job until 4954, when an explosion occurred on the age of Minas, killing 400 outsiders and 78 Dunny. It was apparently the result of a bad combination of gases, one the Dunny had brought with them, and the other apparently already in existence on Minas. Another push was begun to seal themselves from outside influence. The Raylama, who were usually counted on in these situations, apparently had no information as to the facts of the explosion. They were still apparently in the midst of their own chaos, trying to discover the mole. There were some who thought the explosion had been a setup but could not be proven. In 5043, Yeesha placed a man by the name of Farash in charge of the Guild of Illusionists. His first mission, as ordered by Yeesha himself, was to find whoever was destroying the Raylama's ability to gain knowledge. Though most believe that Farash had been more interested in actual illusions than the unseen, He was also known to be an extremely intelligent man and immediately put into action a plan to clean up the Raylama. He also began construction of a house on one of the private islands of the cavern that blatantly demonstrated his love for illusions. Yibelshin died in 5081 at the age of 347. He never had any other children after his son was killed and left the throne to his youngest brother-in-law, his younger sister's husband. Minas was well known for its production of mining machinery. Okay. And next we have King Eamon. Eamon took the throne in 5081 at the age of 150, 2 years after his coronation. Two members of the Raylamas mysteriously disappeared and were never seen again. Farish became a silent hero in the key members of the government, and the factions were again quieted, knowing they were being watched. Key members of the government were often seen at parties taking place in Farish's mansion, and rumors of puzzle rooms and secret halls grew throughout the city. I want to go to the puzzle rooms. The house itself, located on Katha Island, was becoming one of the more talked about buildings in the entire cavern. In 1593, two members of a cult known as One Dunny were proven guilty for the explosion that had occurred years earlier on Minas. Both were permanently imprisoned. At the same time, Eamon, along with the Guild of Caterers, announced the completion of two new food ages, one of which was run solely by outsiders and produced new food sources that had never been tasted in Dunny before. The popularity of Farish's mansion caused others, mainly the elite, to request permission to build on many islands that surrounded the city proper. In 1595, Eamon decided to sell many of the islands that up to that point had been government property. Records indicate the sale of over 23 of the islands in 1 year to private citizens who could afford their heavy price tag. In 5102, disaster hit the family of Farish and the mysterious death of his daughter. Official city guard records said that she awoke in the middle of the night, claiming to see spirits, and jumped from her bedroom window to her death. Rumors abounded as to the true cause. Some thought the house was haunted, while others, mainly the government, thought she might have been a target of factions. Perhaps the most damaging rumors dealt with the Watcher. Oh, here we go with the Watcher again. In words, he had described similar events taking place, such a public event caused many to begin to study his words again. It was the beginning of philosophical chaos yet again. Farish left the house a year after the death of his daughter, claiming to be unable to live with the memories of his daughter. The house was given completely, although no one knew it at the time, to the Raylama. Rumors of dark shadows in windows and boats silently rowing toward the island fueled the idea that the house was haunted. It appears that after Raylama controlled the house, Eamon himself often made visits recommending a number of renovations, tunnels, etc. that he thought would aid them in their cause. In 5202, a public ferry system was approved by Eamon, offering much more frequent access between the island, the city proper, and the surrounding smaller islands. One of those islands Eamon gave to the minor guild of artists, musicians, and actors, who turned it into a cultural center. In later years, the center often hosted outside concerts, plays, etc. on the water. 4 years before Eamon's death, the Guild of Stonemasons announced Darathini, the substance that had been produced in a laboratory for the first time, and was the start of much improved construction techniques. Eamon died in 5240 at the age of 309, leaving the throne to his firstborn son. Words had numerous references to dreams and mourning in the streets, which many interpreted to describe the death of Farish's daughter. And Daratheni was a lightweight stone, which proved to be extremely strong. Okay. For the third one, we do gotta head over to the lower roof. So, actually, yes, I gotta go to Relto. So let's do just that. And it was 5240 was the year that he died. Me'emen? Me'emen. Okay. That was a weird blinking sound. Was that making that sound the whole time, or it sounded much more metallic? Is that because the Great Zero's on? An all clip gives me as a smiley face, which makes me even more suspicious of that sound that I just heard. Okay, we already read that one because it opens automatically. We already read the pink one, right? Yeah. If they open automatically, we've already read them. So Met Emin. Already read that one. Okay. Oh, we already read all those. That's right. It'd be King Me'emin. Okay, here we go. Took the throne in 5240 at the age of 83. One of the biggest announcements of Me'emin's reign came rather quickly and was offered by the Guild of Miners and Stonemasons, who had worked together. In 5307, they revealed Nera as it had been created in a laboratory weeks earlier. Nera offered tremendous opportunities for mining and construction and ended up having a massive impact on future opportunities for Dunning. Even at the time of its release, there was apparently much excitement about its potential. In 5312, disease broke out in the industrial district of Dunny, most likely originating in the age of Yesef. The outbreak caused widespread panic, as many predicted another plague similar. Pause 1 fucking second. What? That wasn't a linking sound. That was the sound of the blue line hitting something. Which almost makes me feel like it's this that's hitting? Okay, we're going to keep reading. As soon as I see the blue line, we're going to stop, and I'm going to see what makes that sound whenever it hits. Might be the neighbor's That's... See the... I swear I saw the blue line. It might be the neighbors trolling me. Just ignore and continue reading. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I see it. I thought I saw it. I swear you can't read in peace anymore. No. Hold on. I'm figuring out what's making the sound. We'll go back to you, Me'emin. I have much more important things to figure out. Here it comes. Here it comes. Come back around again. Maybe? Yep. It might just be the beam itself. It wasn't making that sound before, though. Whenever I was down on the ground level. The sound sounds like it's coming from over here, but like it happens whenever it hits that blue plant over there. I don't know. We'll investigate that more later. It sounds like it happens whenever it hits that plant. Okay, where was I? Disease broke out. The outbreak caused widespread panic, as many predicted another plague similar to what occurred during the 2100s. Fortunately, the illness was not nearly as lethal as the aforementioned, and the Guild of Healers reacted extraordinarily fast in finding a cure. Regardless, there was again a new push to at least separate the New Rail district far away from the Wait, blah, let me try that again. Regardless, there was again a new push to at least separate the New Rail district far away from the city proper. Mayman apparently liked the idea quite a bit and encouraged the surveyors to begin looking into such an expansion. Oh, I know y'all know what it is. The thing is like I'm allowed to speculate because I don't know spoilers. So that's my job right now, is to speculate as to what's going on whenever something like that happens. And that's part of the fun for me too. It's like it's speculating as to what's going on. It's blue. That's all I know, and it makes me happy. It makes a sound. It makes a very intriguing sound. In 53-59, the Dunny received another great reason to begin major expansion when it came to the form of, there it is, of Stone'tooth. It was the second of the Great Diggers and quite a bit more powerful and technologically advanced than the older Stone Eater. Oh, you literally just remembered. Oh. Mayman immediately ordered the Guild of Miners to begin clearing an area along with Stone Eater for a new industrial district replacing UrU. It was not until 5475 that the actual construction was begun on the new industrial section UrU. Less than 100 years after Stone'tooth, in 5473, the Guild of Maintainers announced the newly discovered Daratheni could be used to create much more improved and much more productive maintainer suits. Though such an announcement may not seem especially important, the new suits ended up having a great impact on Dunny culture, since the maintainers were able to take bigger risks with the type of ages they could explore. The Guild of Writers were allowed to be a bit more liberal with their writing, and a new breed of age was begun. During Mayman's reign, words became a common topic of discussion, and attention was again given to older temples. Evidence points to numerous remodels and renovations of many of the secular temples that had been built years earlier on the new line of the Great Zero. It seems that Mayman himself paid little attention to the religious pulse of his people, being much more interested in the technological advancements and the city expansion to care. Once Mayman felt the Stone Eater and Stone'tooth were no longer needed, he recommended using them to build an underground tunnel connecting the island to the city proper, and minimizing the need for boat travel. His proposition was not embraced by any means, especially by the upper classes who were living on the island. Apparently, there were a number of protests for fear of the effect the tunnel could have on the island. The proposal was also rejected by most of the guilds, causing Mayman not to force it. In 5500, the first imports from other ages were linked to the new UrU district much further from the city. UrU was said to be a tremendous improvement over the older New UrU, much more advanced, much safer, and there was tremendous celebration on the day of its opening. Security was tight in the new district, and it was revealed later that the Raylama had uncovered a variety of plots intended to display some of the factions' disagreement with the district. In 5540, Mayman's only son became extremely ill and ended up passing away 6 months later. As a member of the Guild of Healers, Hashem was often among the first to investigate new ages to make sure of their safety in relation to disease. As a result of his death, the age was not approved until a cure could be found. Mayman considered the actions of his son heroic and changed the name of UrU district to Eshemen a year after his death. It was said that the death left Mayman deeply saddened, devoid of the excitement he had shown throughout his reign. Many said it forced him to the prophetess Trisari. Mayman apparently spent much of his time with Trisari in his last days and was able to die a content man because of her. Mayman died in 5549 at the very ripe age of 392 and chose his nephew, probably on recommendation of Trisari, to succeed him. The newer ages allowed for much more experimentation with atmospheres, animal life, and energy sources. It should be noted that prophetess had been assigned to all of the kings, but for the most part become nothing more than that prophetesses have been assigned to all the kings, but for the most part have become nothing more than figureheads rarely consulted. 392 is quite a feat for Dunny. Yeah, even in there I said for the ripe age. Okay. Let's head back to the Palace of Kings and get those last two books that we're intending to read. It does sound like clapping. I was paying attention to the rain this time, and it does sound like clapping. I did not click off of that. Maybe I did. I don't know. Here we go. Come. Okay, yes, we have this one. King Adesh. Was this not the name of his son who died? Or wait, is it just super similar? Because I know he said he had his son died because I'm just probably misremembering. Adesh took the throne at 55-49 at the age of 49. Though Adesh was young, it also said he was mature for his age and took quite a bit of advice from the prophetess Trisari, who had also served as uncle. Adesh was apparently a religious man, but not an especially accepting man. Prophet Gish arrived on the scene in 5574 and began preaching, similar to what Tevhar had done years earlier. Unlike Tevhar, Gish praised the words of Yavo, but nothing else. The great king, he said, was a farce, as was Tevhar. He denounced his people for claiming that Tagon was more important than following Yavo's commands. He declared that Tevhar and the Great King had used Tagon as an excuse to do what they wanted, and it was time to focus on Yavo's commands again. One of these, he added, was no interaction with outsiders. Though Gish was not the first to say such things, for some reason the public came in droves to listen to him, making him an extremely popular figure. Adesh denounced Gish's words at every level, and arrested him numerous times, and by such actions only encouraged Gish, arguably making his impact upon the society even larger than what it otherwise would have been. Hashem. Okay, yeah. Not Adesh, Hashem. I guess because they both started with an A, I guess I got confused. Thank you for the clarification. Gish continued his preaching until, in an apparent fit of rage, Adesh ordered the Raylama to kill him. It was said later the decision was most likely the worst of his reign. The Raylama succeeded in their mission in 5675. There was extreme outrage at the king as well as the official church. Exactly as Gish had taught, Adesh had justified killing a man strictly against the laws of Yavo because he felt there was something more important that was justified because of Tagon. Gish became a martyr, and those who followed him increased. Adesh made attempts to draw his people back, but it was too late. There were apparently very few people, even ardent followers of the Great King, who could agree with his decision. In fact, it was rumored that it was one of Adesh's close advisors who killed him in 5701 at the young age of 201. The throne was left to his firstborn son, Linarin. The word literally means to love with the mind, implying having a close personal knowledge of the other person, or in certain case, Yavo. It had been taught that in order to gain access into the perfect age, Yavo only required such a relationship and nothing else. Okay, and then here we have King Linarin. Took the throne in 5701 at the age of 98. Linarin had not been close to his father and, as a result, was not much like him. It was rumored that it was because of Linarin that Adesh's own advisor had killed Adesh. He knew Linarin would give the people what they wanted. Linarin immediately denounced the actions of his father in killing Gish and informed the public of the existence of the Raylama, their involvement in the death of the Gish, and promised to rid them from all government activities. The announcement was a shock to the public and a huge blow to those who had served in the Raylama. Most ended up living in the hidden private ages, while few were murdered after their years of service to the government. The loss of the Raylama again gave the factions hope that they would be able to carry out their demonstrations again. However, Linarin also promised to rid outsider involvement, meaning the factions had no need for such acts. It's believed that the promise was not one that Linarin necessarily meant to keep, but instead one that he intended to pretend he was trying to meet to keep the factions happy. He also believed wholeheartedly in the plan to build a tunnel to the island and was able to push it through in 5714 as Mayman had not been able to. While Stonetooth was busy digging, Lenarin promised that its next task would be to continue expansion by the Eshimin district with eventual plans to create a new residential and cultural districts. Lenarin also ordered the major guilds to begin work on replacing all ages that required outsider involvement. He demanded ages that would carry out the same tasks, but without outside involvement. Most guild masters knew the plan would take years and years, and though they did not agree with it, agreed to attempt it. In 5721, new techniques were developed to incorporate structural reinforcement and extrusion-based construction, some that would aid construction of the districts Lenarin had promised. In 5734, the tunnel connecting the island with the city proper was cancelled. Stonetooth had been working on it for over 20 years, but the guildmasters, who were already required by Lenarin to replace a huge number of ages, were not about to connect their homes on the island with the city proper. Lenarin agreed, as there were further concerns that such construction could affect the lake level or even the algae within the lake. Instead, Stonetooth was ordered to begin clearing out more space next to the Eshimin district. In 58-56, construction was begun on the new Lenarin district. Stonetooth was ordered to begin further exploration of the cavern by way of new tunnels. In 5902, the guilds announced 4 new ages to replace some of those being used by outsiders. The announcement meant little except to have the factions believe that eventually outside involvement would be finished. 5903 marked the first inhabitants of the Lenarin district, mostly manual laborers, who worked in the adjoining Eshimin. The Raylama were officially finished with their work in 5986. The announcement was fairly quiet, as most of their work had ceased long before that. In 5999, Lenarin passed away at the very old age of 396. Again, impressive. He left the throne to his 5th and youngest son. The environmental damage claimed by Lenarin and the Dunny environmentalists was never proven. Most agree it was an easy way out for Lenarin, who then did not have to admit he was bullied by the Grandmasters who lived on the island. 3 of the ages were food ages, while the 4th was meant to replace one of the major manufacturing ages. In reality, none of them were ever used to the extent the ages were replaced had been used. Okay. And we got 4 more to read, and then we would have read everything in the Palace of the Kings. What was the final name on the book in the library? The one in the library is Memon? Okay, cool. Let's go give that a read now, too. Ah! It does surprise me every time I see it. I was not expecting it. It just comes out of nowhere. It's just like, hi, I'm blue. Dabu-dee, dabu-da. Oh my god. If this game was moddable, like, I would require a mod where whenever that line passes by you, you just hear that sound, that SFX playing. Just dabu-dee, dabu, as it scans past you. Hello there, woo. Again, I guess I could have just linked to the library, but again, walking is nice. Get to see the sights, get to walk through the cave of water droplets that I do enjoy. Okay, and we have Ma'amin's story. The story of Ma'amin, taken from the book 21D, translation by Nick, first draft. And a dark sickness spread through the city, and sores broke out on the skin of those whose sickness touched, might be better translated infected, but touched fits with the literary style, and some began to die. The sickness came from Yosef, where the large trees grew and where the wood of Yemen was harvested. As it was there, the great fear in the houses of all those who lived with Yemen's close to them, and so great fear spread through the king's household, and through all those who worked in the halls of the guilds and those who looked over the city. Such fear overcame the minds of reason, and many began to flee the city and run to the other places that were available to them. But King Memon was angry at those who ran, and was himself unafraid, literally not a fear. And so he called for the healer, Grandmaster Shemef, to come to his room, and though Shemef was preparing to flee, he obeyed his king and came to him quickly. Grandmaster Shemef, the king asked his healer, have you not read the histories of our people? Have you not been instructed in the ways of those who led your guild in the generations before you? Are you not aware of the plague this place has already seen? My king, it is for these reasons that I am prepared to flee, for I know those who died and those who were unable to prevent it from taking hold of them. I know of this plague in detail. And the king answered, depart, I have no time for you, Shemef. Depart to your own age, and do not return to this place again. May it be that my eyes never look upon your face again. And Shemef departed from King Mehamon, and he never saw him again. And King Mehamon called for the guildmaster Anem of the Guild of Healers, and though Anem was preparing to flee, he obeyed his king and came to him quickly. Guildmaster Anem, the king asked his healer, have you too not read the histories of our people? Have you not heard the ways of those who led your guild 3,000 years ago? My king, of course. It is for those reasons that I know what might happen to our people. It is for that reason that we must protect ourselves first, so that we may protect those who trust us for protection. It is not how I would have thought. Depart with your master, and may I never see you again. King Mehamon ordered, and King Mehamon called for Guildmaster Raman of the Guild of Healers, and though Raman was preparing to flee, he obeyed his king and came quickly. Guildmaster Raman, the king asked his healer, tell me that you have read the histories of our people and have been instructed by the ways of your guild. Tell me you have heard of the destruction of the sickness that overcame our people 3,000 years ago. Of course, my king. It is for those reasons that we must bring the ancient books from their age, so that we may study our records and learn in the ways that we must fight. But to stay here would be suicide. It is as I would have thought. Depart with your master, and may you never see the light of the lake again, King Memon ordered. And King Memon was greatly disturbed and troubled, and he stayed in his room for 4 nights. His servants brought food for him, but he refused to eat. And his servants brought advisors that he refused to speak. And all those around him became worried, even as more of the city became empty. And finally, King Memon called for the guild captain Irem, the Guild of Healers. And Irem was studying in the guild and obeyed his king and came to him quickly. Guild Captain Irem, the king asked his healer, tell me that you have read the histories of our people and been instructed in the ways of your guild. Tell me that not all of Dunny is running in fear of a sickness that can be defeated. Of course, my king. It is for those reasons that I have not left my class since I have first heard of the sickness appearing in the district where the trees appear. And I understand that our father, the honored guildmaster Jason, worked for 6 years even after the book of Brenary was found. He worked day and night and stood by our people as he sought to save them from the sickness that had even affected our king. It is for those reasons that I will not leave this place until the sickness is no longer in our city. Tell me whatever you need, and it will be yours. You are the most honored in this place today, or in this palace today, and Dunny will be saved because of you. And King Memon was filled with joy, and he ate from the food his servants had brought and spoke with the advisors who came to speak. As it was, Irem spent day and night without sleeping for 4 more days, and on the 5th day the cure was found, and the sickness was deadly no longer. And King Memon gave the Guild of Healers to Irem, and he was known as Grand Master from that day forward. Shemef, Anem, and Raman were restricted from the Guild of Healers and never again allowed inside of it, or of the palace, or any of the king's dwellings and structures. And King Memon ordered the surveying of a new section of the city to be called UrU, and this section was to be away from the city so that any sickness brought from the other worlds would not be brought to the heart of the city, but instead away from it so that fear would not spread again. And he ordered that the story of Grandmaster Irem be taught to all those who were instructed by the Guild of Healers from that day forward, so that none would forget the power of Dunning and the great strength of their medicines and learning. Seems to be a good place to stop, so I have filled in a few words that I weren't sure about, but overall feels pretty good about this one. Whew. Okay. And with that reading, I fear it is time for the dragon to turn in for the night, but we will be back tomorrow. No, you don't? What? Hi, Clinton. What do you mean, no, you don't? I'm so close. Oh. Oh. I mean, we have the whole other expansion too, so it's not like it's close to the end of the game. No, you don't. No, you were so close. Oh, Lord. Okay, fine. We need to. It's 2175 58 negative 81. Don't blue. Hey. Blue balls are rarer than red balls. I mean, what other balls could I give you? Okay, I'll stop with the horny jokes right now. Anyway, I am like 90% sure we need to go to Teledon. So let's head to this is Teledon, right? For now. Why Teledon? Because that is where we found the coordinates. Oh, wait. We don't have coordinates here. So it has to be in Dunny. Never mind, I stand corrected. Rip. Okay. No, I was thinking Teledon because that's where Douglas Sharper was kind of based, was in Teledon, it seems like. Or at least out of Teledon in Dunny. Wait a second. So where would 20... Let me go to his office. Hold on. What is the coordinates in his office? $37. Okay, so this is not it because we need to find 2175. Okay. So what about... Where else have we not really gone? Okay, this is all part of the main area. What if we... Hold on. Let's go to the Nexus. And let's try Kuril, because we haven't been to Kuril to see what the coordinates are there yet. That might be where we need to go. The 60,000s. Okay. Well, shit. We're looking for 2175. Oh, wait. Wait. 2175, only 58. That's at the square, actually. Hold on. Where... Let me just... where's the thing? It's over here. It's only a distance of 58, which is like really, really close to where the square is. So if we go and just like because of it, like literally all I have to do is cross over to the other side of the great of the Great Zero, and then literally I'll be at where I need to be. I think. Hold on. So if we go to yeah, let's go to Palace Alcove. That's fine. Yeah, all I have to do is literally cross over Great Zero. And here we are. And we just need to go to... What was it again? It was 2175. 20... Whoa, whip, there it is. 21... I saw 2176, so we're literally right there. So it needs to be like over here. We're also out, I think it was like out like 58. -175, distance of 58, elevation of -81. This is really close to whatever the coordinates... Like, I need to go, like, slightly higher? Wait, it was... Hi. This is the lore roof. This is what I was freaking hearing. Wait, what? What do I do with that? I guess I just wait for it to come around again? And do I click on it? Leap of faith when it appears? Jump into it. Okay. I can't believe you're able to replicate Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball art style by scratch. Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely share some. I'd love to see that. You should you if you're in the are you in the... Yeah, no, you are. You're in the Discord. Definitely share it in the Discord too. Like post it in the art channel or whatever. That's why I said it was a spoiler. Please hug it, even if it means jumping off a cliff. Oh, I will, Emblem. Don't worry, I will. I'll hug it. I'll hug it real good. There it is. Here it comes. Here it comes. Yay! I gave it a hug. Ooh, a Railtail page. Oh no. Okay. Holy crap. What is this? Okay. This is where we're going to leave it off for today. We have a whole other book to read. We're in a new area. This is where we're going to leave it off for today. Jump down. No. Clip. Isn't jumping down is going to just teleport me to Relto, right? Oh my gosh. That was already crazy. Oh, hi, there's things down here. Wow. This is the great mine shaft to the surface. Perhaps the ending has not yet been written? What? Wait, I can go back and read Dr. Watson's journal, right? Wait, Dr. Watson's journal's in the brown book? What? Oh, here it is. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay. Wait, this was expansion 2? Path of the Shell was the first? Whoops. Well, I mean, I guess we'll start Path of the Shell next time. No. Okay. Yeah, so we are gonna roll the stream to a close here for today. But don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll get more UrU tomorrow, guys. I know Clip is so eager right now. According to Kim. But yeah, no, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, the plan is I'm going to finish reading Palace of Kings. I am going to be finishing the Lore Roof. I will be finishing, or I will read Dr. Watson's journal, and then we will start Path of the Shell. You just want to give me the end screen? Okay. But yeah, that's the plans for tomorrow. We're going to be finishing all the reading, Palace of Kings, Lore Roof, Dr. Watson's journal, and then we will start Path of the Shell. So, thank you all for being here. It was so much fun exploring Dunny, and I can't wait to see what Path of the Shell has to offer. Wait, I just realized something. So because so we're not gonna get to see like what's going on down. That looked like fully fleshed out down there, like with all like the whole like tunnel and everything. Like what? Because of the game, wait, or is that gonna be like where I come to for Path of the Shell? I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. I really hope we can explore that tunnel later because that looked really fun to explore. Anyway, good hunting and fly safe, fellow dragons, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.